Oh my god! Hello, you what's faces, welcome back to a new video. Tigon here, and today I'm going to show you how to find the perfect sensitivity for Ace Force 2. Smooth the same, best aim. Let's get it. Okay, so this is how you find your perfect sensitivity in 3 steps. Step 1, you need to go ahead and make sure you can aim with your hip fire sense, micro adjust, and track targets. So you should be able to hit easy one taps. Make sure you can do that. Do that with your fixed sense. Now you need to make it as high as you possibly can control. And then on top of that, make sure you can do the same with your ADS sense. Keep in mind your ADS sensitivity should be a little bit higher because of course you need to use it to control recoil long range. Now step 2, you need to go down to your speed acceleration and turn it on. Now what you need to do is you need to make sure you can make a full 180 with your speed accel. Adjust these values as needed, your horizontal sensitivity and your scopeless sensitivity. Now step 3 is to go into your custom threshold and adjust that right until you are able to go ahead and still micro adjust without your speed acceleration affecting. Now as long as you can go ahead and hit those 180, the last thing I'm going to go ahead and tell you to do, make your aim super smooth, go over here to vertical sensitivity percentage and lower that where when you're moving your aim it's super smooth. Somewhere between 70 and 50 is probably your sweet spot. That's how you go ahead and find your perfect sensitivity. Now stay tuned because I'm going to go ahead and walk you through everything I just did. I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to reset this sensitivity. We're just going to reset all, right? I already have mine saved, so don't worry. We have this, and the first thing you're going to realize is you're on fixed speed, which is good, but I'm going to recommend using speed accel because it's just going to make it a little bit easier and make you a little bit more consistent without having to do a whole bunch of extra work with your finger. The other reason you want to use speed accel is because we have aim assist. Because we have aim assist, it's going to make up for a lot of those inconsistencies that you have with speed acceleration. First, you want to be able to easily, right, with all your finger or whatever finger you're using, you want to be able to make a 180 because you need to be able to turn around if you're in a situation. And then the second thing is you're going to actually need to be able to aim long range, and it shouldn't be too hard. So whatever this sense is right here, like, can I actually go ahead and hit headshots with this? Try to see if you can hit headshots with either Deagle or the AK, whichever one's easier for you. This sense is a little bit high, so we have my scopeless sensitivity. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down a few. That's what we're rocking right now. Now we also have horizontal sensitivity percentage. You can take that down as well. But yeah, just keep on messing with this until you feel like you can easily head tap. Basically, get the highest sensitivity you possibly can for this, right? Without it being too hard for you to control. That's okay. I could probably turn it down a little bit more for myself, but that's kind of the ballpark in which you want to be doing. I'm gonna turn it down 20%, so we're gonna rock like 80. You want to do the same thing for your sight. Now keep in mind your sight actually has to be a decent bit higher than your hip fire, and the reason why is because you have recoil in this game. So if you're trying to burst someone from long range, you need that extra sense. So don't get discouraged if your sensitivity, right, is a little bit higher on your ADS. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna start enabling the speed acceleration. The way setting up sensitivity for this works, it's gonna be like a little bit back and forth because you're setting up speed accel and you don't know how something's gonna react to you until you actually go ahead and mess with it. But we're going to turn it on, and all we want to do is we want to make sure wherever we are, we can do a 180 with a flick. I can do a 180, but I'm doing a little bit more, so I'm just going to, remember, try to take it from like the center of your screen, but something that's realistic. So if your thumb, if when you're playing your thumb, you don't always put it to the center and swipe, don't use that as your measuring. Use whatever your thumb fully does as it. Or if you are going to do that, make sure you consciously know, okay, I'm doing a 180, I need to move my entire thumb or whatever. So I'm going to go to sensitivity and I'm going to turn this down because it's just too much sauce. I don't need all of that. Still a little bit high for me, I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna lower that a little bit. Now keep in mind, you can also go ahead and lower other things. It doesn't just have to be that. Make sure to also keep your firing sense in line with your scope sense. It doesn't have to be all the time, but it does help. So having it high may not be the worst thing, but keep in mind that having them similar may be a little bit better, more consistent for you as a player. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna lower my acceleration a little bit more. and I pretty much got a decent one. It's still pretty high. One thing you're going to notice, and this is why speed acceleration usually is bad in most people's eyes, is when you try to go ahead and flick and micro adjust, you see all that nastiness? The problem is you don't want that interfering when you're trying to make micro adjustments. So we're going to use this handy dandy thing that this game has, which is called the custom threshold. It's amazing. I wish more mobile games had this. It's going to allow you not use speed acceleration when you don't want to. So yeah, you want a 180 when you're using all your strength, sure, but when you're not trying to do that, you don't want that activating. So let's go ahead and get back into it. Now it's like I have a fixed speed for the most part. I can even do little micro flicks, but at the same time, it won't cause me to go ahead and do a full 180 when I'm not wanting to do that. So once you have that, you also want to see if you can do those 180s. Does it like still affect it? Are you still able to do it? Is it comfortable? Is it overshooting? Take all that into account. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bump it up. Bump it up. Literally, you want a really low amount of speed accel because for the most part, you just want it for those big swipes. So I'm gonna go ahead and see, can I do it? Not necessarily. I might have put a little bit too much. That's a decent sense. But yeah, essentially we're just gonna go ahead and lower it until we get that perfect 180. Pretty good. I don't need to really do too much more than like, oh my god, too much more than like maybe 10%. Do something around here. So this is closer to my actual sense. Now, of course, it's not going to be something that you instantly get. You need to go ahead and mess with it, but that's going to get you almost there. But there's one thing you're missing, and I recommend a lot of you guys do this, especially if you're like aiming with your thumb. You want to go ahead and actually mess with your vertical sensitivity. It's going to stop you from aiming up and down, which is weird. Like, why would you like want less aiming up? It makes it harder to control recoil. Well, it does make it harder to control recoil. It makes your target acquisition a bit better, and once you are on your target, just remember to pull down. Main thing people always forget, they're like, the recoil is so hard. I promise, if you consciously think, oh, let me pull down, it's not gonna be that hard. But it's gonna make your aim look a lot smoother, and what that's gonna do is allow you to get on target a lot easier. Overall aim, it's just gonna be smoother, and it's gonna be easier to acquire targets. So that's why I rock mine. Now, once you have something that feels good to you, said hop into free for all and just keep on going back and forth, and that should be all you really need to get yourself a nice good sensitivity. Now your scope for the snipers, I'm not gonna lie, usually you can kind of wing it with this. As long as it's comfortable, you should be fine. Quick little Easter egg here. If you have your firing sensitivity higher, what's gonna happen, especially if you're able to lock on, is that aim assist is gonna kind of lock on a little bit, and then when you go ahead and just fire, it's gonna be super easy to control the recoil. The only problem is it shouldn't be too crazy high. Like it might be fine if it's like a 1 or 2, maybe 3 of a sensitivity higher, but don't have it to where you can't control it. But that is how you go ahead and find your own sets. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed.